Hello YouTube. What's up? I know it's been a minute since I've been on my YouTube page and that I've been active, but I am back in all of my quirkiness. Okay, so I wanted to do this video really quick, really short. One, to just get some content out there because it has been a minute since I've been on my page. Two, I have this time right now to do it, so I'm like, hey, why not just go out and send out a video? So I'm gonna make this probably a short video, but pretty much to the point. It's just gonna be about something that I wanted to talk about for a long time that I have just been really hesitant on talking about. But it's going to be on parents. And it's really more or less just how, as an adult, like not having parents or having parents that are around but not around, how it affects us in life, you know? Because a lot of times we don't talk about that, and that's real. Okay, so first, I want to start this video off by saying, on my videos, I want to kind of give you guys a slight recap of what's going on in social media within the week or whatever. And I also want to give you just my point of view on how I see things, because I'm open to sharing. I love to learn. Just because I give my opinion does not mean that my opinion is law. I am not a lawyer. I am not a government employee at all. I'm just giving out my thoughts. Hey. Okay, so first things first. I want to talk about parents a lot because I will say, one, on a lot of social media platforms, people talk about mothers and their kids. And we talk about black fathers a lot on social media. And then on a lot of reality shows, they have the tendency to bring up women and how them having a father or not having a father correlates to their relationships. As well as, like, you know, sometimes you may not have necessarily not had a parent around. You may have always had your parent around and you just lost them recently, and that hurts too. So, all right, let's just jump right in. I want to just first start by saying, to those of you that are lucky enough to still have your parents with you right now, please hug your mom, kiss your dad, because that is very, very important. Excuse me for saying a lot. I am at work, so I am trying to make sure that nobody's walking up while I'm talking, because they're going to interrupt my whole conversation. But we're family, right, YouTube? We're family, friends. So I don't have to worry about y'all judging me, because we're family. We good like that. We good like that. Oh yeah. If you have not, please subscribe to my video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please. Follow me on Twitter at Shay Said It, capital SHAY SAIDIT. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on my Instagram. It is at Shaniqua, SHUANIQA. You can also follow me on my backup page at RileyLife_Shay. That's RILEYLIFE_SHAY. Okay, back to the topic at hand. So for I wanted to talk about this because, like I said, on a lot of reality shows, especially Love and Hip Hop and probably the Married to Medicines and the Real Housewives of Potomac and Atlanta, we have just seen a lot of people deal with the passing of their mothers and their fathers, you know, or just the absence of a father or a mother, and how that affects them. And I just wanted to jump in and just say that a lot of people don't realize, or they don't understand, that when you don't have your mom or your dad around, it kind of, you know, it is the beginning of your relationships with people. That is, you know, a lot of people want to admit it, but the relationship that you have with your parents, it kind of lets you know what kind of relationship you have with people, because when you first interact with a woman, who is that? It's your mother. When you first interact with a man, who is that? Your father. If you don't have those reactions with those two people that are supposed to connect with you and love you and show you and lead you and guide you, how do you go out and connect with other people? You know, you're already not learning how to love. You're not learning how to be sensitive and considerate and all of those other things that you learn when you are interacting with your mother or your father. So when you're going out into the world, you just, you know, you're rough. Or at least this is just my take on it. This is just how I feel. This is your opinion. I am free to hearing other opinions. I would love for you guys to comment back to me. Comment down below. Remember to click subscribe. Remember to click turn your notifications on. DM me. Let's have a conversation. Because I personally believe this is just how I view things. Like, hey, because I just personally feel like if you're growing up as a kid and you have no mom at home, you're living on who? Grandma. Okay, so you may be more receptive to older people than you are from taking direction from people that are like middle-aged, meaning your teachers, meaning like your doctors. You're not going to listen to them or look at them because it's going to be like, I don't have nobody in my house that look like you or sound like you talking to me, so I don't really care. I'm not taught to love or respect a person like you. I'm taught to love or respect my old ass grandmother or my old ass grandfather. So I'm going to have respect for elderly people, but I may disrespect motherfuckers that's a little bit older than me or a little bit younger than my grandmama. And I'm just saying, I feel like that's just a pattern. Like, I know a lot of girls that, you know, they don't have relationships with their moms, and it's like a lot of y'all get into it with a lot of bitches. Why? Because y'all ain't learned no respect for nobody but somebody's old ass grandma. Like, a lot of women, they don't have a man in their life, so for them, you don't know love from a man. You don't know how it's supposed to feel when a man actually loves you or is actually treating you right. So we go for shit that we feel like it's supposed to be, like what it's supposed to look like in the movies or what it's supposed to look like on social media. And I just feel like when you have broken relationships with your parents, that shit affects you throughout life, like in all type of ways. And if you don't at least amend the relationship with your parents, at least acknowledge like, hey, I have absent parents, and that shit, it never changes. It never fully, like, you know, I never fully got over the shit. I just dealt with the shit. Like, yeah, mama ain't here. Okay, it is what it is. But hey, that could be the reason why you tend to lash out on people that do certain things. Why? Because your mom used to do that. Or, you know, you and your mom have this broken relationship and you can't stand when people do that because it irritated you and your mom. So I would say this, a lot of times we forget that everything starts with your parents. Where do you learn everything from? Your mom and your daddy, who teaches you how to curse. Your mom and your daddy, who teaches you how to love yourself. Your mom and your dad, who teaches you your ABCs. Your mom and your dad, the basics. So if you have a bad relationship with those people that you are supposed to learn all these basic things from, what do we expect from you besides toxic energy? So I say that and to say this, I want to first start with, we have to acknowledge that a lot of us, we come from toxic parents. We come from toxic households. We come from toxic families. A lot of us were blessed to be taken out of those toxic, or maybe given away or up, however you want to say it. But we were given to positive environment, so we were able to have, you know, a little light where there was, you know, a lot of dark. So with that in general, you may have picked up toxic behavior, and you probably initially did not want to be a toxic person. You're probably, you know, playing along in toxic behavior, and you're thinking all the while like, no, I promote blackness, I promote positivity, I promote, you know, self-awareness, but you don't promote it for yourself because you're not aware that the effect that your parents had on your life is bigger than, oh, my mom and daddy didn't come to graduation, or my mom and daddy didn't come to that one parent teacher conference. You know, it's bigger than that. The way that you fight and argue with your mom is the same thing that you probably do with other women out in the street. The same way that you fight and argue with your dad is probably the same way that you talk to the men in your life. And that also goes for men. If you're, and I'll put it like this for men. If you were a mama's boy, you probably real clingy when it comes to your girlfriend and can't do nothing without her. If you and your daddy bump heads, you probably bump heads with all niggas in the hood because you feel like you gotta, you know, buck. And fellas, when I say buck, I more or less mean, you know how the Chiefs or the Rams, when, you feel me, they see another man, it be like, you know, and they go head to head, you know. So that's just what I mean when I say the relationship starts with your parents. It starts with your parents. If you have learned that toxic energy from mom, dad, grandma, sister, brother, it starts in your home. So you have to, one, acknowledge I may have adapted or adopted my parents' negative traits, just hereditary, just off the bat. Two, I may have learned them. Like, I may have seen them and actually repeated them because I thought or felt like they were acceptable or okay. And then third, you have to acknowledge, once you acknowledge them, you have to acknowledge, okay, once I know that they're here, I need to, one, before I can go and change these things, I need to go and have a conversation with my parents. Why? Because I need to let them know these behaviors are toxic. the healing journey will like literally never stop. The healing process is an ongoing process. So it's not as simple as saying, oh, okay, I know my mom and daddy ain't shit, or I know my mom and daddy are toxic, so I'm just gonna not act like them. No, it's about going down and sitting down and saying, mom and dad, these things that you guys have taught me, or these things that you guys have did to me, made me feel this type of way, and as a result I acted like this, and I want to apologize to you guys because I need you guys to forgive me. Before I can forgive myself, I need for you guys to forgive me, and I need to hear it, and I need to acknowledge all the things that I have done to you guys, and I need for you guys to acknowledge the things that I have done that I don't acknowledge, or that I'm having a hard time accepting and acknowledging. Why? Because in that, it's a part of the healing process. You know, you can't move on without taking accountability, and you have to, one, take accountability for the things that you've done, and accountability for the things that they have. Okay, and I'll give you guys a scenario. So my oldest sister, I have 8 siblings, give or take. My oldest sibling, she's 50. And I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, but it's not too much. But she just basically came to me and just told me a story about how she had to forgive our mom because our mom was on drugs as when I was younger, and it made her feel away. And she was just saying to heal the relationship for her and mom that they had to get past some things. So she had to kind of, you know, bite the bullet and say, hey lady, you did this, you did that, I felt this way, I felt that kind of way. And from that, the conversation grew, and they were able to heal and move on. Now, from this conversation, you do have to understand, just because you are healing yourself, that does not mean that you can heal your parents' burdens from that. So that's also another thing you have to understand. You can't personally be mad at the path that God sent somebody else down, regardless to what it is and how it affects you. Yes, it may affect you in a negative way, but as long as you're taking the necessary steps to protect your energy, to make sure that you're always on top of your stuff and on top of your game, and you're not falling off, you can't be mad at the next person because they have to go through that journey. Whether you like it or not, they have to go through that journey. That's part of their story. It's not a part of your story. So it's not for you to tell. With that being said, I can be mad at my mom. I can be mad because I want you to remarry, or I wanted you to stop doing this, or I wanted you to get clean here. I can be mad about you for all of that, but me being mad isn't going to change anything. So I have to accept that for whatever reason, God sent you down that path for you to go through whatever you did. Maybe he sent you down that path so you wouldn't go down a worser path. I don't know what it could have been. You could have been dead. But all I'm saying is, like, let me just break it down for y'all in another way. I can get mad at my mom and daddy all that I want to for them being on drugs. I can be mad. I'm mad because I didn't grow up in a 2-parent household. I'm mad because I didn't grow up with my siblings. I'm mad because I didn't have the opportunities to grow up in California like everybody else. I have to grow up in the South. I'm mad because I had to be with Granny and I felt the way. I can be mad at all of that. That would literally be me being selfish. That is literally me saying I'm mad because y'all didn't think about me. When this is not just about me. This is about the collective, the group itself. So you can't think about me because you have your own shit that you're dealing with. And now me as a parent, I had to be honest with my mom. Even though we didn't have this initial conversation when I was a parent, we had it before I was a parent. Once I had kids, I had to be honest with her. I understand the struggle. I don't have one child. I have more than 2. I mean, I have more than 1. So I understand what you mean when you said, you know, having a lot of kids is stressful. No, the shit's fucking stressful. Like, I'm not finna sit here and lie to nobody. Having 1 child is a lot. Having 2 kids is a whole fucking lot. So I can imagine having 3, 4, 5, and 6 can drive you to a lot of things. And in getting anxiety and depression, I completely understand it. My mom had 6 kids. So I completely understand being stressed out and being overwhelmed. No, I do not agree with what you chose to do. But like I said, that wasn't my choice. That was your choice. God, for all I know, God could have seen it fit for you to have just those 6 kids and do what you did because you being in our life would have made us worse off. We don't fucking know, you know? But all that I can do is just honestly say, I don't know why you did what you did. You said you did it. You don't want to take it back. You don't regret it. That's happy. Live your life with no regrets. I had ill feelings towards you at one point, but at the end of the day, Like, I would be a total lie to sit here and say, oh, I don't need to drink every now and then or to smoke every now and then. Like, it's stressful. And it's with everything, because you have to think about it. Times have changed. So I don't know what struggles you had to deal with back then when you were having kids, or, you know, what was going on. Medi-Cal, getting kids in school, getting school clothes, getting a job, still trying to kick it with your friends, like all of that shit. Like, I'm honestly not gonna sit here and be extra hard on my parents when I'm not even hard on myself like that. Like, you know, I still want to have my time to myself. I still want to have my time to be a great mom. I still want to have my time to be a great employee. So it's like, why do I gotta feel like you don't want the same things for yourself? Hi. 1715. You know, like, I'm gonna be honest, if I did not have my oldest sibling in my life to be there to kind of like where certain things, I mean, it was kind of like, hey, you got to kind of be careful, because you don't know how what you're doing is affecting that person. Like, I probably would be a very shitty person. Like, you know, I have my days where I'm a bitch, but most of the time, most people will tell you I'm very pleasant, I'm very nice, I'm very friendly. Probably play too much. I'm probably very goofy. I'm probably the friend that's going to get more mad about your shit than you are. So, like, that's what I'm just saying. Like, sometimes we forget that our parents are not just our parents. They're people, too. They live their life. So, a lot of the times, it's not really just trying to crucify your mama and daddy. It's you want to sit down and having a conversation with them and just understanding, like, Mom, Dad, what did you go through in your life to make you make these decisions? Because you made these decisions and they affected me in X, Y, and Z. And all I'm saying is, like, stop thinking that generational curses do not include generational toxic energy. Like, sometimes that shit has been passed down and passed down and passed down, and you have to be the one to say, you know what, it's gonna stop here, it's gonna stop with me. And it can only stop here and stop with me if you pull the Ayanla. Sometimes you gotta fix your life, because it ain't just your life you fixing, it's the whole family's, it's everybody's. Because you have to understand, if they're a bad parent, they're probably gonna be a great grandparent. And that shit don't mix. Why? Because it's probably gonna mean they're gonna do shit that you don't want them to do, to override your parenting, to piss you the fuck off. And it's not even gonna be like, oh, I'm trying to be a great grandparent and respect your parenting. It's just, nah, I want to be a great grandparent. That's it. That's it. You know, like, and then that shit, it'd be like, yeah, you're doing this because the kids want you to do this, but that's not what I want my kids to do. And it, like, and then your kid sees that. So now your kid always loves their grandparents but hates you. Like, I just don't know. Me personally, I just don't know too many people that have a toxic relationship with their parents and have, like, a good relationship, a good set of friends. Like, I don't. I know a lot of people that settle to be in an okay relationship because it's like, I didn't want to end up like my mom and dad. And it's like, okay. So you settled to be in a relationship because you did not want to be like your mom and your dad, but you're the exact same thing. Just the total opposite. Just because I'm not on drugs and in the streets, you know, arguing with my husband doesn't mean that, you know, I'm not at home arguing with my husband, cheating on him, or he cheating on me, or, you know, we always fighting, showing the kids that energy. Why? Because we're trying to make it work for the kids, when you should have just learned from your parents, if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work, and it's better that way. That, you know, and that's no tea, no shade to nobody. Like, I can't say that I know a couple that's like the Huxtables in my neighborhood or in my community. No, I don't. I know a lot of couples with a lot of problems. And yes, that is normal. I know, I'm not saying having problems with your spouse isn't normal. I'm saying settling with somebody that you probably just would have been a better co-parent with, that is what we have made normal. Settling to be with somebody because they are your child's parent and you don't want to have another person be your child's parent, that is what we have made normal. Settling for somebody that we really can't stand, don't want to be with at all because we got a kid together or we live together, like, that's what's being normal. It's not healthy though. And I can just honestly say, like, this is stuff that you learn from your mom, from your dad, from your grandmama. Like, if you sit down and you talk to people that are in healthy relationships, they will say things like, oh yeah, my mom and dad have been together for 60 something years, happily married. I've never seen them do this. I've never seen them do that. You know, or you have people that say, oh yeah, I wasn't raised with my mom and my dad, I was raised with my grandparents, but they're happily married and they always showed love, or they did this, or, you know, I was raised by one person and that one person showed me unconditional love and how to be happy and open and accepting. And all of this is just having positive people in your life. So sometimes you have to understand, I'm around negative people, I'm around negative energy, I am negative energy because I was taught that from negative people that I claim to love, that I call my parents. So a lot of the times we have to start with your parents. And then remember, while you blaming them, keep in mind, you're still your own. Like, bottom line, we have to acknowledge where the toxic energy starts and we have to erase it. We have to start with that. But it's never going to start if you guys don't want to have the conversation. It's never going to start if you guys don't want to own up to accountability. And sometimes you have to honestly say that, you know what, this conversation is not going to end pretty. No, I'm not coming in this conversation wanting to be justified or vindicated. I'm just honestly coming into this conversation and I'm wanting to leave free. I'm wanting to leave happy. Because I will honestly say a lot of the shit that I learned, it was stuff that I just saw. And I didn't realize that I was learning it until it was like, these are behaviors that my dad and my brothers do, and I do not like that shit, but I'm fucking a nigga that act like this. What in the damn world? You know, and like, once I learned that I did not want those behaviors in my life, it was like, I'm not accepting that shit at all. Like, I'm not. You know, it was to the point where it was like, I'm disapproving of the relationships that I'm in myself. And it was like, why? And it's because I'm doing this, I'm in this relationship because I know it. It's familiar, but I don't like it. I don't want to end up like my mom and my dad, no offense. I don't want to end up like none of my sisters, no offense. I don't want to end up like anybody in my family, no offense to none of them. Why? Because I just personally don't believe that shit is happy. I don't personally believe that shit is the end goal. I don't believe that is what fucking utopia. It ain't my pursuit of happiness. It's just not. And I feel like you saying that, you know what, I personally view this as toxic behavior because for me, it does nothing for me. It gets me nowhere but into bad mindset, bad vibes, bad energy. That's not a bad thing. It's not, especially when it's actually toxic fucking behavior, you know, and it's just like, and it's toxic fucking behavior. And I'm not, and I will always say I'm never better than nobody. I do think that I'm the shit, but like Cash Dodge said, I don't think I'm better than nobody. I just think that I'm the shit. Like, that's just what that is. I'm not uppity. I don't look down on nobody. But I will say, I do feel like we all better than certain situations. We all should feel like that. We all should feel above certain situations. Why? Because certain shit, it takes too much negative energy. It takes too much time. It takes too much bad, like, I just don't personally like sitting in bad vibes. I don't like sitting in mess. I don't like sitting and being uncomfortable. So for me, no, I don't want to mimic that shit. And I don't want to live in that shit because I don't find happiness in that shit. So yes, I will fucking call out toxic behavior on God. You can't make nobody own up to their toxic behavior. No. You cannot make anybody take accountability for their toxic behavior. No. You can't address it. You can't point it out for them to take that up, but that's for them to do on their own time. But like I said, once you guys open up that conversation, the conversation's open. You can say how you feel and you can let that go and you can leave it there. Don't open up the conversation and then want to close the door on it, though. You know, you have to be open to healing and letting all of that shit flow and be out. Because if you don't call out what you see, then how do you expect for it to change? I'm waiting too. You know, but leave your comments and stuff below. I know a lot of you guys have daddy issues and a lot of you guys are still in that toxic negative energy because he reminds you of your dad, but you just won't admit it, that's why you're fucking on that nigga. Let him go, sis. It's time. Let him go. So if you don't take anything from this video, please take this. A lot of the times we try really hard to rebuild or start a new family because the family that we have is broken and we don't like it, or we're embarrassed, or it's non-existent. If your family is non-existent, yes, I do advise you to start with healing yourself first and then going on to building the family that you want to call your own. If you have a family that is toxic or it's negative or it's broken or whatever the case may be, start with trying to heal those wounds first. Start with trying to make that work before you try to go on and build a new family, because you can't actually build a family from scratch if you have not fixed the one that you have. You don't know what it's supposed to look like. You don't know how it's supposed to feel just yet. You're still kind of getting the feels of it. So start with the family that you have before you go on to a new family. You never know. Sometimes it's just about having a conversation. But don't forget, you guys,